Hello everyone, I'm Santiago Santiago and today I'm gonna be just telling you my 8 games that I enjoyed the most this year, 2017. First of all, I need to clarify some things. This is just my opinion. If you don't agree with my opinion, that's okay. We all have different opinions, so just leave me your list down in the comments so everyone can benefit from the list of everybody else. I want to see what games you played this year, which ones you just enjoyed quite a bit, so I can try them out myself as well. And well, I didn't play all the games that were released this year, so if you don't see something in this list was because I didn't play it enough, because I had a lot of games to test this year, plus studying, plus all that kind of stuff. Also, these are not reviews. I didn't finish most of these games, but I played them more than 10 hours. And well, these are games that were released on PC on 2017. So yeah, those are my rules. PC games released on 2017. No, not more than that. But yeah, let's get started, shall we? Number 8, Prey 2017. This is the remake from Prey. I'm saying a remake because it has nothing to do with the 2006 game, which I enjoyed quite a bit as well. Reminded me a lot of Deus Ex and System Shock, mainly due to the exploration. I had other paths that are not obvious. You have to think outside the box. You have a glue gun, for example, and you can use it to make steps to a place that is very high and you cannot reach, for example. And also you have something called the mimics, which are aliens that are just in the spaceship with you. And well, those can take the form of any of the objects around the environment. So at the end of the game, you're just hitting random objects thinking that they are enemies, which is kind of hilarious when you're watching a gameplay of my late game footage. I'm just hitting random objects with my crowbar. And well, it also runs on CryEngine, which was surprising because the game looks very good, but it also runs pretty good despite being a CryEngine title. Those usually don't run that good, but this one was a good PC version overall. And when it's a pretty long game, I couldn't finish it yet, but I'm about to keep playing this. I mean, I have a lot of games to play, but since I recently played Deus Ex and all that kind of stuff, I just wanted to give this game a go. But yeah, a fantastic title, I highly recommend it. Number 7 is Nioh. This is a Souls-like game from the company called Koei Tecmo. Sorry if I messed that up, I don't know how to pronounce it. But yeah, I'm a Dark Souls fan, that's why I'm a little biased with this one. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to play as many hours as I wanted. That's probably why it's not higher up the list. But for what I played so far, I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's not the same as Dark Souls, but it shares a lot of its elements. For what I played, I felt it a lot faster than Dark Souls, but that's not a bad thing. It usually does its own thing here and there. The boss fights were very enjoyable. I had a harder time trying to beat the bosses here compared to a Dark Souls game, so that's good. It's a bigger challenge for me. It also has a couple different elements, for example how you upgrade your character, your gear, all that kind of stuff. And it's a very interesting world. Unfortunately the PC port is terrible. The performance is not that good at all. It's capped at 60 frames per second, has very little options, but it's not that good looking to demand such hardware. I mean, it's very demanding. I just hope that they get better performance later or when they make Nioh 2 or something like that, because this is a very enjoyable and challenging game that I want to put more hours into. Number 6, Assassin's Creed Origins. I wasn't expecting to put this one in the list, because when I started playing this in my live stream on the day of release of this game, I thought it was more of the same, but it actually does some stuff very differently. I mean, there's a huge open world like on all modern Ubisoft games, but I didn't find it like busy work like on the previous games. I mean, the combat system doesn't seem to be Assassin's Creed at all. It feels like a totally different game. You get a shield, but you don't get a stamina bar, for example, so it's not like a Dark Souls game or just something like that. It's a way more challenging combat. We now got a difficulty option that was totally missing from the other Assassin's Creed games. And also stealth is more challenging now than it used to be. If I'm just hiding and I don't know, an enemy is looking for me, if I pick my head for 1 second, they see me. So in the previous games, for what I played, it wasn't like that. The enemies aren't the smartest, but they are smarter than before, which I appreciate, plus the difficulty option. And you can get a lot of hours out of this game. And on the performance side, the game looks very good, but it doesn't run that well on the CPU side. It uses a lot of CPU. Even on my Ryzen 7 1700, which has 8 cores and 16 threads, I saw sometimes even 75% usage, which is insane. But some people say it's due to the DRM that uses VMware and all that kind of stuff that uses a lot of CPU, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Hopefully that's not the case, but yeah, the game requires a lot of CPU. Number 5, Injustice 2. So yeah, fighting game. I was going to play this on console, but I waited, and I'm thankful that I did wait it because now this game is on PC. And I played it like for 15 hours. I've been playing the campaign, some small matches with my friends, and overall I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's a very fluid combat system. It's from the people that made Mortal Kombat, and I was surprised about the campaign because the story was interesting. It wasn't like most fighting games where the story is like, oh, we don't care, just fight. Here it makes more sense. So they have their own very interesting story plus fighting in the middle. But other than that, I enjoyed more than 10 hours of this game just playing campaign on my own. I didn't need to play online to enjoy it, which is a great thing. We need more fighting games that focus on the single player campaign. And it also runs pretty well on PC, which I highly appreciate. So yeah, I highly recommend this one as well if you like fighting games. Number 4, Cuphead. This game was finally out. I was just very excited about it, and it lived up to the hype. I wasn't expecting it to be the way it was. The run and gun sections, the boss fights. This was a boss fight run game, but they added some of these platformer places, which is just you avoiding a bunch of enemies trying to advance. It's not actually a platformer, for saying it in a strict way. But yeah, this game is a lot of fun. It doesn't hold your hand at all, and I just love all the drama that came out of this game because it was very difficult, but it wasn't very difficult at all. I mean, when I played games like this back then, when I was a kid, they were as challenging or more challenging than this. This game requires attention to memorize patterns from the boss fights, and if you're not that good at games of this kind, you'll usually get a ton of hours out of it if you're patient enough. You need to be patient with this game, just remember that. But yeah, it's a fantastic experience, plus the art style is amazing. I mean, I wasn't expecting when I was a kid to play a 30s cartoon just on my PC like it was nothing. I mean, it took a while to make this game. It was all hand drawn, and the developers took a long time to make this, to make it right. So I highly recommend it. It's very cheap. It's a very cheap game from an indie studio. In my opinion, this is amazing value. So yeah, I enjoyed it at all, and the art style and music are just perfect. Number 3, Divinity Original Sin 2. I'm usually not into RPGs of this kind. I'm more of a single player first person shooter or third person shooter fan. So this game was a huge surprise for me as well because it has so many options. I finished the first island, which is like a prison, for saying it in some way, and it took me quite a bit of time, and I thought that the game was over, but actually that was just a tutorial island, which was like crazy to me. I mean, you can get more than 30 hours out of this easily. And apart from having a ton of freedom, a ton of options, you also get a very long game. So you can perfect your style along the way, which I found very interesting because, as I said again, I'm not into RPGs of this kind. So this opened a brand new style of game that I never played, which will mean that I played more games like this in the future. If you can get it on GOG, Good Old Games, I highly recommend you do so. You get it DRM free, so you don't have to have Steam open to play it or something like that, which I also highly appreciate. Number 2, The Evil Within 2. So well, this one I was very excited about because I played the first one, and the first one was from the guy that was one of the responsibles from Resident Evil, which I'm also a fan of Resident Evil. So well, I played the first one was fun, but the controls were terrible and the game needed a lot of polish. That just took me out of the game. So well, I was cautiously optimistic about this one, and well, after all, it seems that they got way more time to polish the game. The controls here are way better. They are not perfect, but it's 100% better than the previous one on the control side. This game also doesn't hold your hand. It's a very difficult game if you don't pay attention. The zombies can just grab you and just hit you. You lose half health, for example, but you can upgrade your character to be more effective against them. You also have a crafting system, which is interesting as well because you can craft on a workbench in the safe house, or you can craft just on the field. But if you craft on the field, it uses more components to make your bullets. For example, you need to make bullets, it uses double the components if you don't do it on the safe house. So that just makes you go out of your way to keep as much items as possible, because you don't have enough bullets to kill all the enemies, so you have to be very precise and effective. For example, go for headshots, but if you go for headshots, you might miss them, so you just lose bullets. So you have to be as precise as possible. And you also get some parts where you get kind of an open world, which is not all the time. I mean, you get open world, but the game gets more linear along the way, so be aware of that. I recommend you have some affinity with stealth, because using it in this game is quite an advantage in order to do ammo conservation and inventory management, all that kind of stuff. So you use less items. It's kind of a survival horror but it's not a horror game. It's a survival game, for saying it in some way, with some horror themes, because it's not a scary game. It has some jump scares here and there, but it reminded me more of Resident Evil 4 with some open world elements and crafting, all that kind of stuff, all the modern stuff you want to put it. So yeah, this one is also a very long game. I'm 15 hours in and I'm on chapter 7, and I looked up in the internet, I'm just like halfway through the game. So I'll be probably finishing after 30 hours, which is very, very interesting. I wasn't expecting this game to be so long, and I'm enjoying it very much. It's a game that requires shooting, stealth, inventory management, some open world elements, and well, just patience, because this game doesn't hold your hand. And finally, number 1, my game of the year is Nier Automata, which is from Yoko Taro and Platinum Games. This is the best game I played this year so far. When I saw people recommending me this game and all the marketing behind it, I wasn't expecting to like it at all, because well, it has some anime waifu here. I just saw an anime waifu with a guy just running around, and it was very weird. There were machines killing people. I mean, I didn't understand it at all. I'm not a guy that is into that stuff, so I wasn't expecting to like it at all, but it's actually a masterpiece. I mean, the guy that is behind this game jokes at you all the time. It plays with you, it plays with your feelings. You are on edge pretty much all the time in this game after certain parts of the story. It just makes you think about existence, because it also talks about that. I mean, I don't want to talk too much about this one, because it can spoil the experience, but in order to finish this game, to get the real ending, you gotta play it like 3 times. So you have to do like New Game Plus 3, but it doesn't feel like New Game Plus. I mean, the game requires 3 playthroughs to get to the final ending. It has like 25 endings or something like that, but the only endings you need are A, B, C, D, and E, if I remember correctly, which are the first 5. Those are the main ones. The other ones are just joke endings, which is like running away from a boss fight or something like that. Those are the joke endings. So you got like 25 endings to get. But I mean, the first 5 ones are the important ones. The other ones, as I said, are joke endings, which is a normal thing from Yoko Taro, just putting joke endings and some hints here and there, which are hilarious when you're playing the game. Also, the combat is pretty good. You got a lot of options here and there. You get 2 weapons, a heavy one and a small one, but you can also get two heavy weapons. You got many combo options here and there, but it's not the best fighting in a Platinum game. It's hard to get used to at first. It feels weird. You also have a robot flying with you, as you will see in the gameplay. You can shoot with it, so you can fight and shoot at the same time, which at the beginning feels kinda clunky, but you get the hang of it very quickly. It also has a lot of bullet hell sequences, both in 2D and 3D, and the game loves to swap between 3D and 2D perspectives quite often when you're playing the game. So yeah, it's a very interesting title. I highly recommend you play it. It's a Japanese game, but the English dubbing is well done. And also the music is perfect, it's fantastic. The best music in my opinion this year. The second one on the music side is Cuphead. Cuphead also had amazing music. But yeah, here the music, the gameplay, the story especially are amazing. So yeah, I 100% recommend this one. Unfortunately, the PC port is terrible. I mean, this didn't even get patched to fix the PC version. So the game had to be fixed by the community. Someone made a mod. Since this game has global illumination, which is just a way of simulating light bouncing from objects. Well, it was a very demanding option and the game didn't allow you to turn it off, so someone made a mod that can lower the amount of bouncing of light. So well, it was fixed by the community, but the game still has some performance issues when you are traveling between areas. For example, the hard drive usage gets to 100% because it's loading a new area. So sometimes you get some stutter here and there. With a mod made by the community to fix the game is a lot better to play, so I highly recommend it if you don't mind the performance issues. But if you put the mod, you can play it just fine. But yeah, you can see how good this game is because the community, despite how bad the game runs, it still has good reviews on Steam, which is weird. When a game runs bad on PCs, usually just bad reviews all along on Steam. If you don't mind that, I recommend you try it out. It's the best game this year in my opinion. So yeah guys, that's pretty much it. Happy New Year and well, see you on 2018.